Hello and welcome to Plant-Based Nutrition 101. Today I'll be sharing with you an approach that ensures heart health beyond the college years. First, a little bit about me, your presenter. My name is Megan Schmidt and I hold my bachelor's in arts in biology from Keene State College in New Hampshire. I am a current Master's of Science in Applied Nutrition student at the University of New England in Maine. And I am plant-based for my own health. So I started off as a vegetarian a year and a half ago, and now I have incorporated much more plant-based nutrition in my life in the past 6 or so months. And I've really enjoyed the benefits and sharing those benefits with others. So to start off on our presentation outline, today I'm going to be going over 3 learning objectives that I have for you. We'll be assessing these learning objectives later on in the seminar portion. We'll be going over why nutrition education is so important in college students. We'll be looking at the current diets of college students and what can be changed. And then we'll be looking at heart disease, the risk factors for heart disease, and the research evidence behind heart disease studies. We'll be then looking at plant-based nutrition, so what exactly is a plant-based diet, what foods should be included and excluded on a plant-based diet, the plant-based diet to benefit heart disease, and then we'll be looking at some of the benefits and concerns that you might have with going plant-based, why you should implement the plant-based diet, and how you can implement the plant-based diet. We'll be setting some personal goals for ourselves, looking ahead to the future and how a plant-based diet can affect our health later on in life. And then we'll be opening up the floor for some questions and comments from you. We will conclude the presentation portion of this seminar and be moving into some of our activities. So first, our 3 learning objectives for this presentation. We will be identifying foods and food groups that compose a plant-based diet. We will describe the benefits of a plant-based diet. And then, as I had said, we'll be setting some goals for implementing plant-based choices. So nutrition education is so important in college students because at this time in your life you have that mindset for learning, questioning, and exploring, and it's a good opportunity for introducing a new dietary lifestyle and some healthy eating habits. You're going through a period of rapid life changes, including the transition from parental supervision to independent learning. So that comes with quite a bit of responsibility, time management, and freedom of dietary choices. So instead of your parents planning what you'll be eating for dinner every day, you have that freedom, which can lead to some poor eating choices. You've probably heard of the freshman 15, so that number is not set in stone. You may not gain any weight as a freshman. You may gain more than 15 pounds or less than 15 pounds. But the freedom of dietary choices, entering a dining hall that has unlimited pizza and french fries and hamburgers, definitely can relate to that weight gain. Some current diet behaviors of college students include eating foods that are high in total fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol, eating foods that are high in calories without necessarily balancing that caloric intake with physical activity. So eating more calories than you're burning, that can relate to weight gain. Eating foods that are high in sodium, while this might not have a great effect on your health at the present moment, it can definitely have an effect on your health, especially heart health later on in life. And then drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, which we know is not healthy. But coincidentally, these eating habits that many college students participate in, they're coincidentally the same types of eating behaviors that put you at an increased risk of heart disease. So let's talk a bit about heart disease. Heart disease is a term that includes several types of heart conditions, including cardiovascular disease or CVD, which includes coronary artery disease or CAD. Other types of heart conditions include heart attack or other related conditions that affect the heart. So heart disease is the leading cause of death for both men and women. It's the leading cause of death for both men and women. More than cancer, more than car accidents. So it causes 1 in every 4 deaths in America. There are 3 key risk factors for heart disease. These include high blood pressure, high LDL or your bad cholesterol, low LDL or your good cholesterol, and smoking. So almost half of Americans, approximately 47%, have at least one of these 3 risk factors, if not more, which is scary. Other risk factors for heart disease include diabetes, being overweight or obese, eating a poor diet, physical inactivity, and excessive alcohol use, as well as family history. So if your immediate family has had a heart attack or high blood pressure, these risks can relate to you as well. So currently, the research shows that a diet consisting of added fats, fried foods, eggs, organ meats, and processed meats was associated with a greater risk of heart disease. Study participants with established cardiovascular disease who sustained plant-based nutrition for a mean of 3.7 years actually experienced a low rate of cardiac events. Plant-based nutrition may prevent, halt, and reverse heart disease. Research also shows that most young adults are not eating enough fruits and vegetables to prevent diet-related diseases such as heart disease. There's also been an increased risk in selecting plant-based foods, specifically among college students, which is really great. So what exactly is a plant-based diet? It's a pretty self-explanatory name, but it is a diet that's high in or compromised only of foods that are derived from plants, which we'll give some examples on the next slide. The diet is also low in or completely absent from animal-derived foods. So some examples of what a plant-based diet includes. There is such an abundance, such a variety of plant-based foods, but I wanted to list off the categories here and give a few examples within each category just to get you thinking about some foods that you might enjoy eating, and to see that those foods can be included on a plant-based diet. So let's start off with fruits. These may include bananas, berries, citrus, melons, and apples. Your vegetables could be carrots, broccoli, leafy greens, eggplant, and onions. Tubers, which are tube-based plants that grow from the ground, would include your potatoes, yams, and sweet potatoes. Legumes could include beans, lentils, peas, soy, and peanuts. Some nuts would be almonds, cashews, pine nuts, and walnuts. Seeds such as chia, flax, sesame, pumpkin, and sunflower. And then, of course, your whole grains such as wheat, rice, quinoa, barley, corn, and oats. So there are some important components of plant-based foods. Eating an abundance of plant-based foods, so many different fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, will give you adequate or even more than adequate amounts of your fiber, your vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So what exactly does a plant-based diet exclude? As with the other slide, I've listed off the categories here and a few examples of each. So of course your meat, your pork, beef, poultry, and lamb, seafood, which includes both fish and shellfish, dairy such as milk, cheese, yogurt, and ice cream, eggs, and then other animal-derived products such as gelatin, bone broth, and lard. Some important components of animal-derived foods that you would want to avoid would include saturated fats, dietary cholesterol, antibiotics, insulin-like growth factor 1, which is a growth factor found particularly in foods like pork, and this growth factor can relate to cancer, as well as chemical contaminants. So eating a plant-based diet is beneficial for preventing heart disease. Plant-based diet habits that are associated with lowering the risk of heart disease, including eating foods that are high in calcium, vitamin D, folic acid, soluble and insoluble fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidants. So if you're eating a variety of plant-based foods, you would be eating quite adequate amounts of all of these nutrients, and you would be lowering the risk of heart disease. Some benefits of eating a plant-based diet. The Academy of Dietetics and Nutrition says that eating an appropriately planned vegetarian, including vegan diets, are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits for preventing and treating diet-related diseases such as heart disease. It also suggested that these diets are appropriate for all stages of the life cycle, including adolescence and young adulthood. Prevention and management of obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes can be related to a plant-based diet. And a plant-based diet is associated with a reduced risk of mortality compared with non-plant-based diets. You may have some concerns when considering a plant-based diet, and I can assure you that eating an abundance and a variety of different plant-based sources, you would be obtaining adequate amounts of these nutrients. I've given you some plant-based sources of these nutrients. So for example, calcium. You can find calcium in eating leafy green vegetables, fortified plant milks, and calcium-set tofu. Iodine can be obtained from iodized salts in sea vegetables such as seaweeds. Iron can be found in dark chocolate, legumes, and blackstrap molasses. Omega-3 fatty acids are found in flax, chia, and hemp seeds. Vitamin B12, it can be supplemented or obtained through fortified foods such as nutritional yeast. And then vitamin D can also be supplemented or found in fortified foods such as non-dairy milk. You can also obtain enough vitamin D from spending at least 10 minutes outdoors and having your arms and legs exposed to the sun. You might be asking why you should implement a plant-based diet while in college. Establishing these healthy eating habits early on in adulthood will be really beneficial for your health, not just now, but later on in life if you continue with these eating healthy habits. Sharing these dietary choices as you grow your own family can really change our statistics. Instead of having 1 in 4 deaths resulted from heart disease, if we can change the way we eat in our society and eat more plant-based foods, hopefully we could change those statistics. So eating a plant-based diet would minimize risk for heart disease as well as other diet-related diseases. How can you implement a plant-based diet? So first, and most importantly, I think, find plant-based foods that you enjoy. There are so many options for plant-based foods, and you really have quite a selection. So if you don't like kale, you don't need to eat kale. You can find plenty of healthy, delicious plant-based foods that you like. So eat what you like, but eat all different types of plant-based foods to make sure that you're getting adequate nutrition, so your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Find alternatives for your current favorites. So for example, if you really enjoy General Gao's chicken, Chinese food, my significant other really loves this dish. And while he is not plant-based, he eats a lot of plant-based foods because I primarily do the cooking. So I've come up with this really yummy, crunchy, sweet and sour, spicy tofu dish that I serve over steamed white rice with some broccoli and sesame seeds and green onions to top, and it is truly delicious. So there are so many different alternatives that are already pre-made that you can find, or recipes that you can try out yourself. That leads into getting creative and get cooking. So when you get more involved with how your food is made, you really find this appreciation for food and cooking. And you can make things exactly how you like it. So if you want things a little bit sweeter, a little spicier, you have the control of that if you're doing your own cooking. And you know exactly what ingredients are going in. You're not reading a label that you can't pronounce most of the ingredients. Also, find local restaurants with plant-based options. This will make it a lot easier if you're dining out with friends or family to know that you'll have a plant-based option on the menu. If your favorite restaurant or your favorite campus dining center does not have plant-based options, you might want to approach them and explain to them, you know, I've heard that plant-based diets are becoming much more popular. I myself am trying to eat more plant-based, and I was wondering if it was something that you would consider adding to your menu. Chances are they would definitely consider it, and bringing that to their attention might be a great thing. Share the plant-based diet with others. So share what you've learned throughout this presentation and later on in the seminar, and share recipes and share food with them. The best way to share information is by giving your audience something that makes a spark or creates a passion. So if you serve them these really delicious plant-based granola bars, they might be more apt to listen to what you have to say about plant-based diet and to be learning some more. As I had said earlier on in the presentation, we'll be looking to set some personal goals. Later on in the seminar, we'll be writing out at least 3 personal goals for each of us. But just to consider right now, you want to set some realistic goals for yourself. Are you looking to go 100% plant-based, or would you like to just incorporate more plant-based foods into your diet? With this comes along a realistic timeline. Would you like to become plant-based overnight? That might not be realistic if you have a half a pound of deli meat sitting in your dorm fridge that you had allotted for lunches for this week. So be realistic when you're thinking of when and how you'd like to become plant-based. You might want to start off slow. So there is what's called Meatless Mondays, this movement where people are trying to eat plant-based on Monday. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and dessert will be entirely plant-based on this day. It doesn't need to be Monday. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whichever day works for you. But to allot one day of the week for only eating plant-based might work for you. Or instead of one whole day a week, you might want to do 1 meal per day. I think that breakfast might be an easy meal. You could do oatmeal, you could do a smoothie, a plant-based granola or cereal with plant-based milk, toast with peanut butter with some fruit on the side. There are a lot of quick, easy, and healthy plant-based options for breakfast, but you could also do lunch or dinner as well. So along with setting goals, you might want to look at setting some long-term goals. So like I had said, would you like to continue being plant-based for at least a year, see how your body responds? Is this something that you want to implement for the rest of your life? That could be too. But just looking ahead to see what your long-term timeline looks like. Keep motivated. So don't just eat the same thing all the time. You're going to want to keep those taste buds excited and try new things and learn more. Continue educating yourself on plant-based diet and options. And then maintain a plant-based diet. So you may need to explain yourself to your friends and family what exactly a plant-based diet is, why you are plant-based. But if you're motivated and you're passionate about plant-based food and nutrition, you should have a pretty easy time maintaining that plant-based diet. And as I had said before, share a plant-based diet with others. So share the information that you learn, share the foods that you're eating and the recipes that you might come up with, and I think you'll get some really good feedback. So I'd like to now open up the floor for any questions in the comments that you may have. I've allotted a chunk of 10 minutes to spark some preliminary discussions. We will absolutely be doing some more discussions and group activities later on in the seminar. But if you have any questions on a plant-based diet or heart disease or my background, I welcome those questions and comments now. All right, well, thank you so much for your attention during this presentation portion of the seminar. We'll be taking just a 3 to 5 minute break. You can get up, move around, have some water, talk to your peers, and then we'll be coming back. As you come back through the room, if you could grab a sealed envelope. We'll be using this in one of our activities later on in the seminar. Do not open the envelope just yet. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise. But I'd like to thank you again for your attention during this presentation portion of the seminar. And I'll share with you here the references that I have used in my sources in this presentation.